Here's a question for you. When you think of Laos, what's the first image that pops into your head? Maybe temples glowing in the sunset, the Mekong River drifting lazily through valleys, or endless jungles, right? But what if I told you, hidden in those same forests and rivers are some of the strangest, rarest, and flat-out most unbelievable birds you'll ever meet? Birds so rare that scientists only discovered them a few years ago. Birds so flashy they look like they were painted by a wild artist. And even an owl that decided mice were boring and went fishing instead. Today we're diving into a world most travelers never see. 15 strange bird species of Laos you won't believe exist. From the legendary Giant Ibis, a prehistoric-looking giant that's one of the rarest birds on Earth, to the jewel-like Pittas hiding in the shadows, to the neon-sparkling fork-tailed sunbird that could outshine a rainbow. Laos is packed with surprises, and here's my challenge for you. Stick around until the end, because I'll ask you to choose. If you could be any one of these birds, which would you be? The flashy diva, the mysterious shadow, or the ancient survivor? Let's find out. Number 15, the green peafowl. Here's the hook. What bird looks like it rolled straight out of a royal parade, but is actually one of Southeast Asia's most endangered treasures? That's the green peafowl. Forget everything you know about the Indian blue peafowl, the one that struts around palace gardens. This is its rarer, wilder cousin, living in the forests and wetlands of Laos. And trust me, when the sunlight hits those feathers, it's like the jungle suddenly switched on neon mode. The look, absolutely dazzling. Males are covered in metallic green and gold scales across the body, a fan-shaped train with shimmering eye spots, and a tall crest like a crown. Even the females are gorgeous. Unlike their blue peafowl relatives, green peahens keep much of the same shimmering plumage, just slightly toned down. This means both sexes walk the forest like royalty. Behavior-wise, they're ground dwellers, strutting with long legs through tall grass or along riversides. And when a male decides to display, boom, the tail goes up, feathers shimmer, and the whole bird transforms into a walking firework. Diet? Omnivores through and through. Fruits, seeds, insects, even small reptiles. If it fits in the beak, it's on the menu. Fun fact, in ancient Southeast Asian cultures, the green peafowl was a symbol of beauty, prosperity, and protection. Kings considered them sacred. Seeing one in the wild today feels like stumbling into a living legend. Mini twist. Despite their glamour, these birds are in trouble. Habitat loss and hunting have pushed them onto the endangered list. In Laos, their populations are tiny and fragmented, making every sighting a rare and unforgettable moment. And the call? Let's just say subtle isn't their style. Loud, piercing cries echo across the forest, announcing their presence like royal trumpets. So here's my question for you. If you could wear one animal's colors for a day, would you go full-on green peafowl with shimmering neon armor, or keep it low-key like the rest of us? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see how many of you are brave enough to strut like a peafowl. Number 14, the spotted Elachura. Here's a question. What if I told you there's a bird so unique that it doesn't just get its own species, it gets its own entire family tree? That's the spotted Elachura. This tiny, secretive bird lives in the dense mountain forests of Laos and nearby countries. And when I say tiny, I mean sparrow size. But don't let the size fool you. Scientists discovered that genetically, it's not closely related to any other small bird in Asia. In fact, it was placed into its own family in 2014. Talk about being the ultimate black sheep, or maybe the black and white sheep. The look? Brown body covered in neat white spots and streaks, with a short tail that flicks nervously as it creeps through undergrowth. Nothing too flashy until you hear it. Its song is a loud musical series of whistles that echo through the forest like a flute player practicing deep in the jungle. Diet? Insects, spiders, and little invertebrates. The spotted Elachura hops around near the forest floor, staying low and hidden while it forages. Blink and you'll miss it. Fun fact, this bird is so shy that for decades, many birdwatchers thought it was just another plain old wren babbler. It took genetic analysis to finally reveal, nope, this is something completely different, a living relic of a very old evolutionary branch. Mini twist, because it's so hard to see, spotting a spotted Elachura in Laos is like hitting the birdwatcher's jackpot. Most people will hear its haunting whistle long before they ever lay eyes on it. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be a bird that looks plain but has a voice that stops people in their tracks? Or one that's dazzling to the eye but completely silent? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm curious which kind of strange bird you'd rather be. Number 13, the Giant Ibis. Here's a hook for you. What's bigger than a stork, rarer than a unicorn, and basically the holy grail for bird watchers in Southeast Asia? That's the Giant Ibis. This bird isn't just strange, it's a legend. Standing over a meter tall with a wingspan close to 7 feet, it is the largest ibis species on Earth. Imagine a heron crossed with a prehistoric dinosaur, and you're getting close. The look? A massive gray-brown body, long legs built for wading, and a long down-curved bill that looks like it could open cans of soup. Add the bald, scaly head, and you've got a bird that feels more Jurassic Park than Jungle Temple. But here's the twist. Despite its size, the Giant Ibis is incredibly hard to find. It lives mostly in remote wetlands and lowland forests of southern Laos and Cambodia, places so wild and inaccessible that even scientists struggle to reach them. Diet? Frogs, insects, crustaceans, even small reptiles. If it moves in the mud, the Giant Ibis probably eats it. They probe their big bills deep into soft soil, pulling up whatever unlucky creature is hiding below. Fun fact, in Cambodian folklore, the Giant Ibis is considered a spirit bird, an omen of wilderness itself. And for birders, seeing one in the wild is a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. No exaggeration. Mini twist. Sadly, this bird is critically endangered. With fewer than 300 left in the world, its survival hangs by a thread. Deforestation, hunting, and drained wetlands are pushing it to the edge, which means every single sighting isn't just exciting, it's history in the making. So here's my question for you. If you had the chance to see one of the world's rarest birds in the wild, would you keep the location secret to protect it, or tell everyone so they could share the wonder? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear where you stand on that one. Number 12, the White-rumped Falcon. Here's the hook. What raptor looks cute enough to fit in your palm, but hunts like a tiny assassin of the skies? That's the White-rumped Falcon. At just about the size of a pigeon, this is one of the smallest falcons in the world. Found in Laos and a few neighboring countries, it's the ultimate case of don't judge by size. Small frame, huge attitude. Visually, it's striking. Snow-white head and underparts, dark wings and back, and that namesake bright white rump flashing when it flies. Add a sharp curved beak and fiery eyes, and you realize this isn't some backyard bird. It's a pint-sized predator. Behavior? Classic falcon tactics, just miniaturized. They perch quietly on exposed branches, scanning the area like snipers. When prey comes into range, wham! They swoop down at breakneck speed, snatching insects, small lizards, or even tiny birds right out of the air. Blink and you'll miss the strike. Fun fact, because they're so small and elusive, white-rumped falcons are rarely seen. For bird watchers in Laos, spotting one perched on a dead branch in the open is like striking gold. It's one of those moments you brag about for years. Mini twist, don't let that adorable size fool you. They're fierce. Locals sometimes call them little tigers of the sky because of the way they fearlessly take on prey almost their own size. Imagine a bird that could fit in your hand taking down another bird mid-flight. That's hardcore. Diet? Mostly large insects like grasshoppers, beetles, and cicadas. But they're opportunistic. If something smaller and slower crosses their path, it's on the menu. And here's the kicker. Unlike many other falcons that live in wide-open plains, this species prefers forest edges and bamboo groves. It's not about speed over miles, it's about surgical strikes in tight spaces. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be big and powerful but expected to win, or small and underestimated, than shocking everyone when you do? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious how many of you would choose the underdog life, just like the white-rumped falcon. Number 11. The black-eared Shrike-Babbler. Here's a question. What bird looks like it got dressed by mixing and matching outfits from three totally different species? That's the black-eared Shrike-Babbler. This bird has puzzled scientists and birdwatchers for years, partly because it doesn't fit neatly into any one group. It's got the hooked bill of a shrike, the colors of a tropical songbird, and the social behavior of a babbler. Basically, it's the Frankenstein of the bird world, but in a good way. Visually, it's a stunner. Olive green back, white belly, black mask around the face, and that trademark black ear patch outlined in white. Males sometimes show bright chestnut or yellow touches depending on the subspecies. It's the kind of bird that makes you do a double take and go, wait, what am I looking at? In Laos, you'll find it in montane forests, moving through the canopy in mixed flocks. And trust me, it does not travel alone. These birds are social butterflies, constantly calling, chattering, and joining up with other species like they're at an all-day jungle block party. Diet? Insects are the main course, but they'll also snack on berries. With that hooked bill, they can snatch bugs right off leaves or branches with surprising precision. Fun fact, for years ornithologists argued about where this bird belonged on the evolutionary tree. Shrike, babbler, or something else entirely. Turns out genetic studies placed it closer to vireos, a whole different family. Translation, the bird fooled experts for decades. Mini twist, while its name sounds like it belongs in a horror movie, black-eared Shrike-Babbler, the bird itself is actually pretty cheerful, constantly singing and calling as it forages. It's like the jungle DJ, adding background music wherever it goes. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be a bird that confuses everyone with your identity, or one that's simple and straightforward? Tell me in the comments. I think I'd lean toward the mystery vibe like the Shrike-Babbler. Number 10, the white-winged duck. Here's the hook. What duck spends its life hiding in the shadows of jungle swamps? But when it finally takes flight, flashes wings so bright they look like lightning? That's the white-winged duck. At first glance, it looks dark and almost plain. A big, heavy-bodied duck with blackish-brown plumage, pale speckles on the head, and a chunky bill. But wait until it opens its wings. Boom! Huge white patches blaze against the dark feathers, like surprise headlights in the night. It's a secret superpower, hidden until takeoff. This duck is one of the largest in Asia, often stretching close to 90 centimeters long. But unlike those cheerful park ducks waddling around for breadcrumbs, the white-winged duck is elusive, shy, and prefers remote jungle pools and slow-flowing streams. In Laos, they lurk in quiet forest wetlands, far from human eyes. Diet? A classic swamp mix. Seeds, aquatic plants, snails, insects, and the occasional small fish. They feed mostly at dusk or dawn, quietly dabbling or diving in shadowy backwaters. Fun fact, these ducks are sometimes called ghost ducks by locals because you can spend hours in the swamp and never see one. Just ripples in the water or a sudden flash of white wings as they vanish into the trees. Mini twist. While they look tough, the white-winged duck is globally endangered. There may be fewer than 1,000 left in the wild. Habitat loss, wetland drainage, and hunting have pushed them to the edge. Spotting one in Laos isn't just rare. It's like winning the wildlife lottery. And here's the kicker. Because they're so secretive, even scientists don't know everything about them. Each new sighting adds a piece to the puzzle of how these ducks survive in fragmented forests. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be flashy all the time, or keep your beauty hidden until the perfect dramatic moment? Drop your answer in the comments. I think the white-winged duck has already mastered the art of mystery. Number 9, the silver pheasant. Here's the hook. What bird looks like it walks straight out of a royal costume ball, but actually prefers strutting through mountain forests? That's the silver pheasant. Native to Southeast Asia, including parts of Laos, this pheasant is pure elegance. The male is breathtaking. Snow-white feathers etched with fine black lines, long flowing tail, glossy black underparts, and a bright crimson face that looks like a mask. The The female? More camouflaged in brown but still sleek and graceful. Together, they're the jungle's version of a power couple. When the male walks, it's pure theater. Tail feathers trailing, red face glowing, crest lifted high. It looks like the forest rolled out a runway just for him. And during breeding season, he takes it up a notch, spreading his tail, bowing, and calling loudly to impress the ladies. Think tuxedo, spotlight, and a very dramatic performance. Diet? Omnivores by nature. Seeds, berries, shoots, and insects are all on the menu. They spend much of their time scratching through leaf litter, foraging like feathered gourmets of the forest floor. Fun fact, the silver pheasant has been admired for centuries. In ancient Chinese art and royal symbolism, it often represented beauty, power, and integrity. Today, it's still kept in aviaries worldwide for its striking appearance. But seeing one in the wild, free in the forests of Laos, is a completely different experience. Mini twist. While they look untouchable in their regal costumes, wild silver pheasants face threats from hunting and habitat loss. Their beauty, ironically, puts them at risk. And here's something quirky. Despite their elegance, males can be feisty. They'll defend territory with loud calls and even charge intruders, proving that style and toughness can go hand in hand. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be remembered for your strength or your style? Tell me in the comments. I think the silver pheasant just proved you can be both. Number 8, the Blue-rumped Pitta. Here's the hook. What bird is so shy you almost never see it? Yet when it finally steps into the light, it looks like it's dressed for a jungle carnival? That's the Blue-rumped Pitta. This secretive bird spends most of its time in the dense, damp forests of Laos, sneaking around the understory where light barely reaches. For hours, all you might hear is a low, haunting whistle. And then, if you're lucky, it hops into view, and suddenly the forest floor explodes with color. The male has rich chestnut plumage, a bright golden crown, and of course, that dazzling turquoise blue rump that flashes like neon every time it flicks its wings. The female is more subdued, olive brown with hints of blue, but still gorgeous in her own earthy way. Diet? Earthworms, insects, and snails. They forage quietly on the forest floor, probing the leaf litter like little jewel hunters. Watching a pitta feed feels like nature's version of hide and seek. They vanish, then reappear when you least expect it. Fun fact, birders often call pittas the jewels of the forest, and the Blue-rumped Pitta lives up to that reputation. It's basically a gemstone with feathers. Mini twist, despite being so stunning, most locals hear them far more often than they ever see them. These birds are masters of staying hidden. In fact, many photographers spend days camped out in the forest just for a few seconds of a Blue-rumped Pitta stepping into frame. And here's the kicker. When they do show up, it feels magical. A flash of blue and gold in the shadows, and then gone. It's like the forest gave you a gift and snatched it back before you could say thank you. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be a bird that everyone sees all the time, or one that stays hidden but blows minds every time you appear? Drop your answer in the comments. I have a feeling this Pitta would definitely vote for mystery. Number 7, the mountain Imperial pigeon. Here's the hook. What pigeon is so big and majestic that it makes your average city pigeon look like a scrappy street punk? That's the mountain Imperial pigeon. This giant of the pigeon world is the largest pigeon species in Southeast Asia. In Laos's forests, when one glides overhead, it looks less like a dove and more like a small hawk. Seriously, city pigeons would ask for its autograph if they could. Visually, it's elegant, not flashy. A smooth blend of soft gray and brown plumage, pale underparts, and a faint purplish gloss on the neck that shines in the right light. Add those calm, dark eyes, and you've got a bird that radiates quiet authority. Behavior-wise, these pigeons are canopy dwellers. They love tall, evergreen forests, perching high above the ground where they can watch everything below. And when they take flight, their powerful wing beats echo through the trees, announcing their presence like thunder. Diet? Mostly fruits and berries. They swallow fruits whole, pits and all, and then fly off to spread seeds across the forest. Translation: they're not just big, they're critical gardeners of the jungle. Fun fact, Despite their massive size, mountain imperial pigeons are surprisingly graceful in flight. Watching one soar across a valley is like watching a feathered glider plane. No flapping frenzy, just smooth, effortless power. Mini twist. Their call isn't a cheerful coo. It's a deep, booming hoo-oo that resonates through the forest like a foghorn. If you're camping in Laos and hear it at dawn, don't worry. You're not being haunted. It's just this imperial giant greeting the morning. And here's the kicker. While they're not globally endangered, they are vulnerable to hunting and habitat loss. In some regions, populations are shrinking fast, reminding us that even common giants can disappear if we don't protect their homes. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be flashy and showy or calm and powerful like the mountain imperial pigeon? Drop your answer in the comments. I think a lot of us could use a little of that pigeon confidence. Number 6, the black-breasted thrush. Here's the hook. What bird shows up to the forest dressed like it's heading to a black tie gala, but sings like it's auditioning for The Voice? That's the black-breasted thrush. Native to the mountains of Laos and neighboring countries, this thrush is elegance on wings. The male has a glossy black head and chest, bright orange bill, and snowy white underparts that look like a tuxedo. The female? More low-key, warm brown tones, softer, but still graceful. Behavior-wise, these thrushes are classic understory dwellers. They forage on the forest floor, hopping among leaf litter for insects, snails, and berries. Watch one for a few minutes and you'll see that stop, hop, pause pattern, like they're dancing to their own invisible beat. And the song? Pure magic. Males sing rich, melodious notes at dawn and dusk, filling misty mountain forests with music that makes you stop in your tracks. If you didn't know better, you'd think you were listening to a professional flute player practicing deep in the woods. Fun fact, birders in Laos often say you'll hear the black-breasted thrush long before you see it. They're shy, quick to slip into shadows. Spotting one is like finding the headliner after listening to the sound check all morning. Mini twist. Despite their elegance, these birds aren't invincible. Deforestation and hunting pressure in parts of Southeast Asia threaten their numbers, which means every encounter is a gift and a reminder that even the most beautiful songs can go silent if we're not careful. And here's something quirky. During courtship, the male sometimes bows and fluffs his feathers like a little opera singer hitting a dramatic note. Imagine a tuxedoed tenor serenading his partner under the trees. So here's my question for you. Would you rather have a voice so good the whole forest stops to listen, or a look so sharp you never need an introduction? Tell me in the comments. I want to know which superpower you'd pick. Number 5, the fork-tailed sunbird. Here's the hook. What bird is smaller than your phone, but shines brighter than a jewelry store window? That's the fork-tailed sunbird. This tiny nectar lover is pure sparkle in the forests of Laos. The male is a living rainbow, metallic green head, crimson throat and chest, golden yellow belly, and that trademark forked tail flashing behind him. The female keeps it subtle with olive green and yellow tones, but together, they're the jungle's power couple. Behavior-wise, these birds are the hummingbirds of Asia. Quick, restless, always darting from flower to flower. They use their curved bills to sip nectar, powering that nonstop energy. And just like hummingbirds, they don't mind chasing each other, or even bigger birds, away from their favorite flowers. Small bird, big attitude. Diet, mostly nectar, but they'll snap up insects too, especially during breeding season. Think of them as multitaskers, part pollinator, part pest control, all wrapped up in glittery feathers. Fun fact, the fork-tailed sunbird is a master of sun catching. When sunlight hits at just the right angle, the male's feathers blaze with iridescent colors that look almost unreal. It's like someone cranked up the saturation filter on nature. Mini twist. Despite their beauty, they're tiny, barely 10 centimeters long. But their song is surprisingly strong, a cheerful series of whistles and warbles that carry through the forest like a soundtrack to their flower-hopping ballet. And here's the kicker. These birds play a critical role in pollination. Without them, many jungle flowers wouldn't reproduce as well. So yeah, they're not just eye candy, they're ecological VIPs, So here's my question for you. If you could glow in one color every time sunlight hit you, what would it be? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm betting a few of you are going to choose rainbow mode, just like this fork-tailed sunbird. Number 4, the Bar-bellied Pitta. Here's the hook. What bird looks like it escaped from an art studio, wearing brush strokes of every bright color the painter had left on the palette? That's the Bar-bellied Pitta. This secretive ground dweller lives in Laos' dense, humid forests. And trust me, when you finally catch a glimpse, it's like the forest floor suddenly turned into a parade float. The male is a kaleidoscope, brilliant green back, cobalt blue wings, fiery orange belly, and those bold yellow and black bars across the chest that give it its name. The female, slightly less flashy but still rocking emerald green and golden tones. Honestly, she'd outshine half the parrots at a zoo. Behavior-wise, Pittas are shy. They prefer hopping quietly on the ground, turning leaves to find insects, snails, and worms. But when startled, they can burst into flight, flashing colors like a magic trick, before vanishing into the understory again. Fun fact, birdwatchers call Pittas the jewel birds of Asia, and the Bar-bellied Pitta might be one of the brightest jewels of them all. But here's the twist. You could spend days in its forest and never see it. They're masters of hiding. Most people only hear their distinctive whistles echoing through the trees. Mini twist. Despite their beauty, Bar-bellied Pittas are vulnerable to habitat loss. Deforestation across Southeast Asia is chipping away at their homes, which means every rare sighting is not just breathtaking, it's bittersweet. And here's something quirky. During breeding season, the male sometimes performs little hops and wing flicks as a courtship dance. Imagine a jewel bird trying to impress with a goofy two-step. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be dazzling but hard to find, or common but overlooked? Drop your answer in the comments. I have a feeling a few of you are going to side with this hidden gem of a bird. Number 3, the black-headed woodpecker. Here's the hook. What bird shows up in the forest looking like it dipped its head in ink, then threw on a neon yellow jacket just to confuse you? That's the black-headed woodpecker. This striking bird is found in Laos, Vietnam, and parts of Southeast Asia. And let me tell you, it's impossible to mistake for anything else. The male sports a jet black head, bright greenish yellow back, and wings with electric blue highlights. Add a red crown if you're a male, and boom, you've got a bird that looks like it was designed by a street artist with too many spray cans. Behavior-wise, it's a classic woodpecker, drumming on trunks, probing for insects, and chiseling into dead wood. But here's the fun part. Unlike some woodpeckers that stick to thick forests, this species is happy in open woodlands and even semi-arid zones. Translation? It's adaptable, tough, and just a little unpredictable. Diet? Mostly ants and termites. These guys can tear open entire nests with that powerful beak, lapping up insects like a kid with a bowl of popcorn. Fun fact, their calls are a sharp, laughing cackle, something between a parrot and a joker. If you're walking through the forest and hear laughter that sounds a little unhinged, it might just be this bird mocking you. Mini twist. Despite looking flamboyant, the black-headed woodpecker is not as rare as some of Laos's other species. But here's the catch. Because they're bold and noisy, they're often the first woodpecker species hunters target. Flashiness has its risks. And here's the kicker. Watching one hammer into a termite mound is like watching a feathered jackhammer at work. Chips fly, dust scatters, and within minutes the bird's belly is full. Efficient, destructive, and kind of impressive. So here's my question for you. Would you rather stand out like a neon sign and risk being noticed, or blend in quietly and play it safe? Drop your answer in the comments. I think the black-headed woodpecker already made its choice. Number 2, the ear-red Pitta. Here's the hook. What bird looks like it borrowed a costume from an ancient warrior, but spends most of its life sneaking quietly in the shadows? That's the ear-red Pitta. This rare forest bird of Laos is part of the jewel-like Pitta family, but it takes a very different approach to fashion. Instead of neon colors, the ear-red Pitta wears earthy tones, rich browns, olive greens, and black, all speckled with intricate white markings. And then there are the ears. long, pale streaks running down the sides of the head that look like ribbons flowing from a helmet. It's the kind of bird that blends perfectly into the forest floor, vanishing among leaves and shadows. Blink and you'll swear it was never there. Diet? Worms, insects, and snails. Like other pittas, it forages on the ground, probing leaf litter with that strong bill. Watching one feed is like watching a jewel thief tiptoe through the dark, lifting treasures only it can see. Fun fact, the eared pitta is notoriously hard to find. Even experienced birdwatchers can spend days in the forest and come back empty-handed. Hearing their soft, mournful whistles in the distance is often the only proof they're around. Mini twist. Despite being shy, the eared pitta plays an important role in the ecosystem, helping to control insect populations and recycling nutrients on the forest floor. Quiet, hidden, but essential. And here's something fascinating. Unlike its showier cousins, the eared pitta relies on subtle beauty. Up close, those markings are unbelievably detailed, like fine embroidery stitched feather by feather. It's nature's camouflage couture. So here's my question for you. Would you rather shine bright like a neon superstar or keep things subtle but classy like the eared pitta? Tell me in the comments. I think this bird proves that sometimes low-key is the most stylish of all. Number 1, the Tawny Fish Owl. Here's the hook. What owl swapped spooky midnight hunts in the forest for fishing trips by the river? That's the Tawny Fish Owl. This isn't your typical ghostly night hunter. Instead of silently swooping through dark woods for mice, this owl prefers riverbanks and mountain streams where it specializes in, catching fish. Picture a big orange-brown owl perched on a branch, staring down into the water like a grumpy old fisherman waiting for a bite. The look? Impressive. Tawny brown feathers streaked with darker bars, long ear tufts sticking up like wild eyebrows, and piercing yellow eyes that glow like lanterns. Add powerful featherless legs ending in massive talons, and you've got a bird built for grabbing slippery prey straight out of the water. Diet? Mostly fish, but it's not picky. Frogs, crabs, even the occasional rodent make the menu. If it moves near water, this owl is interested. Fun fact, unlike many owls, the Tawny Fish Owl isn't fully nocturnal. It often hunts at dusk or even during the day, especially around shaded streams. Imagine stumbling across an owl fishing while you're on a hike. It's equal parts bizarre and awesome. Mini twist, despite its power, this owl can be surprisingly clumsy on the ground. Watching one waddle along a riverbank feels less like a top predator and more like Bigfoot on a fishing trip. But the second it launches into the air, you're reminded it's still very much the king of the stream. And here's the kicker. This species is rare in Laos because clear, unpolluted rivers are disappearing fast. Protecting their watery hunting grounds means protecting much more than just one bird. So here's my question for you. If you were an owl, would you stick to the classic mouse diet or switch it up and go fishing like this Tawny Fish Owl? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm betting some of you are ready to grab those talons and head for the river. And there you have it. 15 strange bird species of Laos you won't believe exist. Now be honest. When you first thought of Laos, did you imagine temples, jungles, maybe a river cruise down the Mekong? Probably not a bald-faced bulbul, a warbler hiding in limestone caves, or an owl that goes fishing for dinner. But that's the magic of this little country. It may not be huge on the map, but it's massive when it comes to biodiversity. From the Giant Ibis, one of the rarest birds on the planet, to jewel-like pittas glowing in the shadows, to tiny sunbirds flashing rainbow colors in the treetops. Laos proves that the strangest and most beautiful surprises are often hiding in places the world overlooks. And here's the fun part. Every single one of these birds tells a story. Some are ancient survivors. Some are masters of camouflage. Others are divas of the jungle. Together, they remind us that nature doesn't play by the rules. It creates just because it can. So here's my question for you. Which of these Laotian birds blew your mind the most? Was it the bare-faced Bulbul with its no-feather face? The secretive Blue-rumped Pitta? Or maybe that fishing owl you never knew existed? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see which bird stole the show for you. And before you fly off, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Every click helps us keep exploring the strangest, rarest, and most beautiful wildlife on Earth. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and remember, sometimes the smallest countries hide the biggest surprises. I'll see you in the next adventure.